All right.
What do you want to see?
Welcome, everybody. While y'all are finishing up lunch, we're going to get the ceremony started. Good afternoon. I'm Dave Donaldson, and it's my pleasure to represent the commission at this ceremony. Before we begin the festivities with Chris and all, I would like to recognize several commission employees. Greg Ray, Joe Bear, Deanna Valentine, and Lloyd Kirk recently reached a major milestone that's worth noting. Both Greg, Deanna, and Joe just celebrated their 20-year work anniversaries, and Lloyd reached his 10-year mark. All these employees have helped advance the commission's charge, and I look forward to working with them into the future. Please give them a round of applause for their dedication. So the Lyles-Simpson Award is given annually to a person for outstanding contributions in marine resources in the Gulf of Mexico. Those actions can be for research, management, enforcement, legal, or legislative accomplishments. It is my distinct pleasure to present the 2018 Lyles-Simpson Award to Mr. Christopher M. Blankenship. Chris's career certainly demonstrates those qualifications that I just listed, as can be seen in the award program, along with some good photos of Chris enjoying work and pleasure. Chris has been is a lifelong resident of the Alabama Gulf Coast. He's always been around the water, enjoyed the water. He actually started out as a deckhand on a charter boat on Dolphin Island when he was in high school. So he's well familiar with the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. He started his career with the Alabama Department of Conservation and Marine Resources as a conservation enforcement officer. Over the years, he worked his way up through the ranks and served as the director of the Marine Resources Division, as well as the deputy commissioner. In April of this year, he reached the ultimate position and was made commissioner of the Alabama Department of Conservation and Marine Resources. In addition to his work history, he's worked with a number of organizations and served on a number of boards and commissions that's listed in the program. The Employees Retirement System, the Mobile Bay National Estuary Program, the Alabama Coastal Resource Advisories Committee, the Ocean Policy for NIP, for AFWA, the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the Gulf Commission's law enforcement committees, the Ecosystem Restoration Council, the Alabama Gulf Coast Recovery Council, NERDA, NIPWIF, seafood marketing boards, and a variety of other board coalitions, and then of course the Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission. He's been with the commission for quite some time in various capacities. Over those years, Chris and I have been to quite a few meetings together. And as I sat down to write up what I was going to say today, I had a bunch of stories about this. I thought, well, that's about, and I came to the conclusion that I probably shouldn't share those with the group, or they might not be appropriate. Most of them might not be appropriate. However, what I can tell you about those meetings, they all start out with this one time at a commission meeting. Anyways, as you know, Chris put his name in the hat for the assistant administrator to NOAA Fisheries several years back. As it turned out, to our benefit, he was offered the deputy commissioner position with Alabama and decided to withdraw his name from consideration. However, during the time that he was still deliberating about the position, I was asked to write a letter of support, and I'd like to share an excerpt from that letter. In a word, Chris is a leader. He has the innate ability to bring people together and guide them to reasonable and effective solutions. He's able to quickly grasp the impediments to a problem and develop workable solutions and resolutions to those impediments. He has demonstrated this ability in a wide variety of settings, including state, regional, and national. In addition, Chris has strong character. He is honest and always considers all aspects of an argument before making any decisions. He's willing to listen and contemplate alternative viewpoints and look at them in an objective way. Because Chris's early background in the marine enforcement area, he's able to appreciate these different standpoints. And I believe that he understands the science, and because of this enforcement background, gives him a unique perspective in addressing the complex issues that face fisheries managers and administrators. So I think that little excerpt is why Chris is receiving this award this year. It characterizes and describes the qualities that epitomizes the Lyles-Simpson Award winner. So his leadership and commitment to the technical management of marine resources in the Gulf of Mexico have led to an overall improvement of those resources. I take great pride now in presenting him with this distinguished award. On behalf of the Commission, I want to say thank you, Chris, for all you do. Before we let Chris make a few comments, I'd like to open the floor for folks to share stories or comments about Chris. So, Joe, I believe you got the microphone. If you'd like to say something, Mr. Banks.
How much time do we have?
We have to be back at 1:30, so and other people would like to talk.
Some of you may or may not know, Chris and I started out as enforcement officers together. He was my first training officer when I first came on with the Marine Resources Division. I had been a municipal police officer, and so I did things a certain way, he did things a certain way, and there were plenty of times I'm sure he went home and said, Alice, I don't know what they stuffed me with. But I'll tell you what they stuffed me with was probably one of the finest people that I've had to work with over the years. And probably one of the proudest moments was a continuation of a moment where he and I were stuck in the mud in Grand Bay, Alabama, right on the Mississippi-Alabama line. It was probably his fault, not mine. We spent several hours there. You know, a few more feet we'd have made it, but we didn't, so we had to wait for the tide to change. So we talked about Grand Bay being a jewel for the state of Alabama. It was such a wonderful place. We said, man, wouldn't it be great if this is preserved forever for everybody to be able to enjoy this? Last year or so, he was sitting with Governor Kay Ivey on a thing there, giving a speech talking about the two goofy enforcement officers that were stuck in the mud right there behind him, and he has now been part of the reason that that land at the Mississippi-Alabama border is now preserved for everybody for the future. So that's the kind of vision that this guy had as an enforcement officer that has carried him all the way up to the position of Commissioner of the Department of Conservation in Alabama. The governor could not have made a finer decision, and I'm not just saying that because I still work for him and being employed. When he and I had a conversation about his opportunity to potentially go to NOAA or take a position within the state, I was very supportive. And I went home and slept on it and realized I'm an idiot. And I went back the next morning and I said, everything I said that was supportive, I said, forget that. I enjoy working for you. I want to continue to work for you. And my goal was that you and I retire from this division together because I don't want to work for somebody else. Well, he left me. And but it has been a great move for the Department of Conservation because he has taken his vision and his national vision. He doesn't look just within the confines of the state of Alabama. So Chris and Allison, because I promise you, he spent more than 1 or 2 nights away, and Allison having to run the show with 3 kids by herself, and they have 3 fantastic kids. Even though he does have a favorite, I won't say which one of them on occasion. So Chris, thank you for everything you've done for me and for the state of Alabama, and also for the entire Gulf of Mexico.
Chris, just wanted to make a few comments. First of all, congratulations on having a very, very appropriate first name. We have lots of Chris's involved in marine fisheries in Alabama, and at least he and I can be proud of that name. But seriously, congratulations, I won't mention the others. Seriously, congratulations, and I was trying to think of an appropriate story. I don't really know that many inappropriate stories, so I'd probably be the one to tell them on you. But I do remember one occasion as you were beginning your, I hate to say meteoric rise, because meteors fall to earth and die, and that's certainly not you. But your meteoric rise through the ranks, starting out as an enforcement officer and then being recognized and promoted and recognized and promoted. When you first began to come on the scene here at Gulf States and making a few trips to Washington with the oyster community, Corky Perrette, a previous recipient of this award, and Lyles-Simpson, a previous recipient of this award, came over to me one morning. I'm pretty sure it was at a Gulf States meeting, and said, hey Chris, come here, talk to me about something. And I was, expecting the worst, given those two characters. And so Larry puts his arm in and says, look, this Blankenship kid, I think we got something here. Is there anything you can do to keep him around in Alabama? And I looked at Larry and I said, probably keeping my mouth shut is his best chance, because anybody that I would recommend, given the current, and I won't mention who the governor was, is probably doomed for demotion rather than promotion. So in spite of anything we did, Chris continued to move forward, but Larry particularly and Corky also could recognize what a tremendous individual we had, just as Scott mentioned earlier. And I just wanted to share that with you, given that I don't think Corky was able to make it. Larry's looking down at us from above. I'm sure they're both tremendously proud to see not only that they recognize your good character and tremendous abilities, but the fact that now you're being recognized them at an organization that they both gave their lifeblood to, Larry in particular. So I appreciate all you've done at the state level in Alabama, all you've done to help me personally, particularly the work after the oil spill. Something that you all may not know is that Chris took over from Vernon Minton at the height of the trouble after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And I mean, the fact that he was not only able to fill in, but to hit the ground running and do an outstanding job at being the interim director at that time of the Marine Resources Division, really saved us in Alabama at that level. And certainly because of his ability to do that, he continued to get recognized, and they promoted him up and away from us, but we continue to enjoy his help. One of the key things that he did after that was to help us get the Alabama Seafood Marketing Commission going, and I'm on that, and Chris continues to be active in it and to keep it going, and I certainly appreciated that. I'm wearing my pin, Chris. I saw Scott had his on too, so appreciate that. I could talk much longer. I don't want to bore people, but the fact that Chris has survived 3 governors and has been liked by all 3 of them, and 3 different, completely different personalities is another comment on his tremendous abilities and good character. So, Chris, congratulations. I was so tickled to see that you got your name added to this list of folks, all of whom have contributed greatly to the Gulf Marine Resources through the Commission. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, I want to congratulate you also. I did notice in these fish pictures that you got your arms extended pretty good. They seem to look a little bigger when you got them out there.
Sign of an experienced fisherman.
I had the pleasure of meeting Chris probably about 10 years ago, and I got to know his family and Allison. And actually, I think this is a co-award. I think Allison deserves to be a co on this award. But it has been a pleasure to know Chris over the last 10 years. I agree with almost everything that's been said. I don't have any embarrassing stories that I'm going to tell. But I really thought when Dave said Chris is a leader, I mean, that stuck with me. I think that's the best word that I can describe. He is a leader. I've had the pleasure of working with him on a number of issues. Chris seems to try to get people together and look for the best issue. Maybe not always the best issue for him personally or the group he's representing, but the best issue for the resource. And I've always appreciated that. I've always trusted Chris. So I do want to thank you, Chris, for all your hard work. And I want to thank you for being a good example for me personally on how to conduct yourself in this type of business. So thank you, Chris. Good luck to you.
If there's no one else, we will give Chris the opportunity to respond to all those comments.
I'm glad that's over. I'm extremely uncomfortable sitting there listening to that. But I do appreciate the kind words, and I'm extremely honored. And when Dave called me, I was so surprised. I didn't even know what didn't know what to say. I was couldn't imagine. And so most things happen, good and bad, in my life. I called my wife after I talked to Dave, and I said, "Hey, Dave just called. I'm going to get the Lyles-Simpson Award." And she's like, "Oh, that's great." I said, "That usually goes to people who's been doing this for decades." And she said, "I don't know how old you think you are, but but you've been doing this for decades." I don't consider myself to be that old, so but I have thoroughly enjoyed my time working with the commission. I was thinking back on that this week, talking about Corky. The very first commission meeting I went to was down in Key Largo, Florida, and I was on that was my first meeting on the law enforcement committee, and I got there that night, and I was talking to somebody, and Corky had come in, and he said, "You the new guy? Let me tell you some stuff." And so we sat out there on the back deck at the Hilton at Key Largo until, I don't know, late or early, however you look at it, until they finally ran us off. But he gave me more of an education in that evening about the council and how it worked and who was who. I just really appreciated Corky just noticing that somebody was new and taking the time to really spend time with them. And my first meeting as the director of Marine Resources, actually on the commission, was after the oil spill in Clearwater Beach, and it was a very, very difficult time. I'm so thankful to have gotten to work with such nice people. Everybody just was so friendly and took me in and was helpful. People like Mike Ray and Corky and Dale Diaz and Dave Donaldson, Chris Nelson, and of course Mr. Larry. That first meeting when I really, except for the education I got from Corky 2 years before that, I was pretty lost, and I think they could see that. But they were, and it was during a very difficult time in our state and in the Gulf as a whole. And it was, I'm just so appreciative of the people that we worked with every day in the commission. So thankful to work with such great leaders and such great people over the last 24 years that I've worked in this field. After the oil spill, we were doing the ODRP and the EDRP and all of the things we had going on. It was just a very tumultuous time in the Gulf. That's how we really all got to start working together. I really just look back on that as great opportunities. Those trips to D.C. and meeting with congressional staffs, and of course all the ever-present red snapper issues that we've had in the Gulf. One thing that I've always been very impressed about with the Gulf states is how collegial it is. It's not competitive. We all want different things for our state or need this, but when we sit down once a year and figure out these are the needs and this is how much money is available. And working all that out, with one another, it has been probably one of the highlights of my career, how well we all work together, and appreciate everybody's friendship and how we always want to do what's right for the resource and the people. I appreciate the Gulf State staff. I've had the fortune to be commissioner, to be the chairman of the commission twice over the last few years, and it's like the easiest job ever, because the staff takes care of everything. They just put your name as chairman on stuff. And I wish every chairmanship was that easy, and it's only that easy because we have such a great staff at the commission that handle all the day-to-day operations. And first under Larry's leadership and now under Dave's leadership, it was very seamless, and I'm glad to know all those people and glad to work with them. It's good to see, I see less older folks around here and more younger folks. It's getting to that where I feel like even though I don't consider myself old, a lot of the people that were my mentors or people that I worked with have now retired or moved on to different parts of their lives. And I see a lot of new staff and new people that are involved in this field, and it does make me feel good to see the talent that's coming into our industry, that's coming into working for these government agencies and what we do. I'm just happy for the future, and hope that the commission will continue to do such good work, continue to be such a part of fisheries in the Gulf and bringing people together, and continue to work in that non-adversarial way, but for the states to work cooperatively to do good things for the Gulf. And I'm just very honored and to be added onto this list with all these great men and women that have worked for fisheries issues in the Gulf since 1984 when the Lyles Award was created. So thank you all very much, and I appreciate very, very much appreciate your time.
Chris, we got one more piece of business. Each year we try and make sure I'm not in the picture. We get a token of our appreciation, and we were trying to decide what to get you. We're thinking maybe we could get a sculpture of a red snapper feeding on the oyster reef, since those are your two favorite things, but that didn't seem appropriate. But since we're in Brownsville, we got you a turtle sculpture. We've got a plaque that reads, presented to Chris Blankenship, Gulf State Marine Fisheries Commission, Lyles-Simpson Award winner, October 17th, 2018. We didn't attach it because we weren't sure how you were going to display it, so you can attach it as you see fit. So thank you again. Appreciate it. I appreciate your.
I'm not sure how I'm going to get that in the overhead.
We'll take it home with us and get it to you. Don't worry. We might have to schedule an afternoon meeting when I bring it over.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So that concludes our ceremony. If you hadn't finished your dessert or you need another dessert, there's plenty. So thanks for everybody attending. TCC and Sea Grant will begin at 1:30 this afternoon. Thanks.
All right.
Well, you have some time, so, Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.